Welcome to Let's Talk Recovery Equity, a series of conversations about how we can reach and help more people find freedom from addiction. The series offers us an opportunity to explore the complexities of substance use disorder and to consider new pathways toward hope, recovery, and healing. My name is Andrew Williams, and I serve as the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at the Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation, and I am the host of our series. Today, I am thrilled and honored to speak with our guest Chandell Boyd from the Mille Band of Ojibwe in McGregor, Minnesota. Chandell recently graduated from the Hazelden Betty Ford Graduate School of Addiction Studies with a master's in addiction counseling focused on integrated recovery for co-occurring disorders in December 2021. She now works as the Associate Director for the Mille Band Substance Use Disorders Department. Welcome, Chandell. Thank you so much for joining us today for this important conversation. How are you?
I'm great. Anine, hello.
Right, again, thank you for joining us. Before we get started with moving through some of our questions, I would like you to introduce yourself to our audience. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, the communities of care that you grew up in, and what really fuels your passion for the work that you do in Native communities.
Anine, my name is Bidwewe Benesikwe and Chandell Boyd. I grew up in Oneme, Minnesota on the Mille Band Indian Reservation. I currently reside in McGregor, Minnesota, which is also known as East Lake, Minnesota of the Mille Band Indian Reservation. I currently work as an associate director for Mille Band substance use disorders, which includes the outpatient and assessments. What fuels me is my drive to help my community, to help my tribal members, and just hoping to help people change and heal, and just to help people heal and move forward in a better way, to help build a better community.
Yes, well, thank you, Chandell. And I think perhaps in your answer, or excuse me, in your introduction, you've perhaps offered the beginning of an answer to my next question for you. You know, one of the highlights of my first year here at the foundation, which I just wrapped up last week, was actually participating in the first in-person commencement for the graduate school in quite some time. And I got to see you and other graduate students walk across that stage. I'm wondering if you could share with us, what was your motivation for going back to graduate school in addiction studies, and what was it like to walk across that stage? What does that mean for you and your community?
Mhm. One of my main motivations is to help my community, and I chose Hazelden Betty Ford Graduate School of Addiction Studies because I felt that they can help me learn the tools and the skills to better help my community or serve my community. And commencement, that was nerve-wracking for me. I didn't want to trip or anything, but I had a good time and it was amazing. My family got to come and watch me graduate. It's a lot of hard work, and I'm just grateful that I was able to have that opportunity.
And what might you say to others who are maybe waffling or on the fence around a decision such that you made to go back to graduate school to pursue further studies?
Um, I would say go for it. You're never too old to learn. It's never too late to go back and get your degree. If you have that as a goal, just keep going.
Okay, well, thank you. I'd like to move and ask you to help our audience to gain a better picture of exactly the work that you do in your associate director role, and to give us a window into the range of services offered by the Mille Band department that you work with.
I recently took on this or accepted this position April, April of this year. So it's new to me. I'm just hoping to help build programming to help provide services for community members, and just to help provide services to help them heal. And also transportation is a big thing, and we're hoping to look to adding that into our programming as well, offering more transportation because we live in a rural area, and that would help our clientele, our community members.
All right, thank you. Do you have more that you were going to add there? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So we offer outpatient treatments and also assessments right now, peer recovery and case management services.
All right, thank you. And I've had the good fortune of meeting with you and other members of the band recently and had a chance to learn more about the services you provide. And I think we've had some really enriching and important conversations around the role of culture in the services you provide. So I'm wondering if you could share with our audience the significance of culture, the role of cultural traditions in the suite of services you offer Native communities in your area.
I think culture is very important. It helps us reconnect with ourselves, with our spirit, with our ways. Um, we try to find ways to implement culture into our programming. We had group members that were able to go maple sapping, to go canoeing. We offer sweat lodge once a month, which I think is very, very important. It helps the clients heal, and we're looking to add more to our programming.
Yes, well, let me run with that last point that you've made. One of the questions I wanted to ask you was, what are your hopes and dreams, for your community? And in particular, what is your sort of vision for the Mille Band Substance Use Disorder Department? If we were to come back and interview you in 5 or 10 years, how might the services you offer, how might your community look different?
My hopes and my dreams is for our department to grow so we can offer more services to our clients, and also to add more of the cultural components to our programming. And I hope, or not I hope, one of my biggest dreams is that just to provide a better future for the future generations, so they don't have to grow up in what we have grown up in. And I'm just hoping that it grows, and so to a point to where clients won't need our services as much. That's one of my dreams, just to reduce substance use in my community, to help reduce it, or else in the future, stop it.
Yes, yes, definitely. No, thank you, Chandell. One of our commitments as a Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation is to lift up the voices of leaders like yourself from diverse communities, and to share some of the promising and exciting work that's being done around substance use disorder, offering hope and healing, right, to more diverse communities. How might an organization like the Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation assist a department in Native communities like the one that you live in?
I think reaching out and partnering with our community and other communities, and learning about the culture, learning about the history, and also teaching us, how Hazelden became so successful, and helping us, guiding us to where we can be successful, as Hazelden.
Let me then ask a little bit of a follow-up question. As you know, our society has been moving through, over the course of the last 2 years, a real moment of racial reckoning. And, in our sort of collective journey to make sense of the historical moment we're at around issues of race and ethnic relations, many organizations like ours are trying to determine what we can do, not just to reckon with this past, to really own the fact that our field itself is in recovery. Out of this has come this desire also to repair and to build the sort of partnerships that you suggest would be helpful. We know we're not the only one trying to establish these partnerships. Would you have any consultation to us as a foundation and to other organizations in this professional space on sort of, best practices, things we should be attentive to as we work to build more authentic, democratic, and mutually beneficial partnerships between our organizations and departments?
I think respect respecting, all the community respecting their beliefs and values, and then also education on the past, and education on historical trauma, boarding schools. I think those will be important as well.
All right, so partly you're saying that we need to bring respect for cultural traditions and values and be open to developing new hybrid modalities. And partly what I hear in that as well is respecting the need to move at the speed of trust. That when we take into account and learn more about the historical relationships between mainstream American society, American institutions, and Native communities and organizations, that the trust is often very fragile. And that part of what I hear you saying, hey, we need to take the time to learn as we work to build trust, moving at a speed that's kind of co-created between us.
Yes, absolutely. When you build trust, you can kind of build that relationship with the communities.
Now, I'd like to ask you a standard question we ask all of our guests. If anyone out there listening is struggling with substance use disorder or has someone who they care about who's struggling with substance use disorder, what message would you have for them today?
To reach out, don't be afraid, reach out for help. There's people out there that are willing to help. There's people in the community. Just reach out for help, and just keep going, and there's help there.
So Chantell, you've given us a really nice introduction and giving us a window into the culture communities that nurtured you as both a person and professional. I'm wondering if you could give us, our viewers, a window into sort of some of the key sort of historical ideas, or some of the sort of the texture and feel of the cultural community that you're a part of.
Um, One of the biggest things that I've done for myself was to start to go back to my ways, to my Anishinaabe ways. And when I was younger, I was fortunate enough to go with my grandma to ceremonies. So when I was wanting to change my life and to heal, that's where I started to go back to. Um, One of the biggest things that I like about ceremonies is like the connection with other members of the community, and then it is healing. It just feels great, and it allows me to kind of find that balance within myself. Whenever I feel myself going out of balance, like if I'm stressed out about something, I always know that I need to go to ceremony, because that would help me find that balance in myself. And if I'm finding myself, a little angry, that means, smudge or put out a semo or tobacco. Um, I just find ceremony healing. But the one thing that I loved about ceremonies is that connection, the connection with community members, that connection with my family.
As we have viewers who might be listening who really appreciate your vulnerability and your sharing of your own story of recovery and the ways in which, right, you have tapped in, right, to your own cultural resources and traditions and rituals, right, to support your recovery. What consultation advice would you have for those who've moved through treatment and are now in recovery? What consultation might you offer them to help sustain their recovery?
To seek out those ceremonies, to seek out those people that are going to help build them up, to keep learning, attend those ceremonies. Even if you don't want to attend ceremonies, I mean, do something where you're connecting with people. Just find those avenues of healing. Everybody's different.
No, I appreciate your response, and including that last part, Shondell, and that reminder that as powerful as culture is, that doesn't mean there's a cookie cutter approach, a singular answer or modality that works for everyone. So I appreciate the kind of the precision, right, of the lens that you push us to have when we look at the issue of substance use disorder in Native communities and communities more broadly as well. And some of what you share really resonates with me, Shondell. I've had the benefit of each Wednesday morning, I'm able to sit in as a co-facilitator in a BIPOC youth group at our Plymouth campus. And, in conversation with some of those young people, including, several indigenous youth, the counselor who was working with us asked them each to envision their recovery, what they were fearful of and moving back to their home communities and what they might do to help sustain their recovery. And each of them offered a very similar response to you, that each one of them talked about the meaning and significance, the need to reconnect with community and culture. We had one Native American young man who talked about, I want to return back to singing in my native tradition. I had another young woman talk about how much she valued and looked forward to going back in the fall and being with her parents when they branded the cattle and engaged in all the different community rituals that involved around that. And I think we combine their voices with yours. Again, we get a real, I think, sense, a better understanding and appreciation, right, of how central culture is, cultural connectedness, cultural wellness is, right, to the overall recovery process and journey. Well, Chandell, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your tremendous insights and experiences with us today. I really appreciate the advocacy that you're doing and the life-changing, life-saving work that you do each day. So again, Chandell, thank you for your time and generosity of spirit today.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right.
Igwich.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone for joining us today for this important conversation. Please let your friends and colleagues know about these conversations and come back often to catch more episodes of Let's Talk Recovery Equity. Together, we can build a happier, healthier, and more equitable tomorrow.